G-Man, good to see you, bro. Great to see you.
How did you challenge yourself, not only in the spring but in the offseason, to get better as a coordinator after having a really good year, and your defense getting better after having a really good statistical year?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes back to who you're around, and the one thing that Coach Rule does is he's always looking for an advantage. So going back and looking at the things that we need to work on was first and foremost, like taking the ball away, being better on third downs, getting some guys matched up better in the secondary. But also, I was fortunate to be around some really good defensive coaches as well, and they every year it's a new team, it's a new attitude. So you go into it like the first year, you know what I mean? And so the very first message yesterday we got together as a D staff was, this group hasn't done anything. I haven't done anything. I'm gonna approach it like that. We're gonna move forward that way, and we got a lot to prove, and put that chip on our shoulder and let's roll.
Obviously, John Butler has a really good resume, but besides that, when you talk through it with him, what made it feel like this fits really well?
Yeah, he's again, his energy. When you see him, he's an old school Philly guy. So you're looking at him and you don't know how he's going to come across, and all of a sudden he sits down with you and it's like bam, 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 bam. Don't stop me. Let me go. So he's really what the guys need right now. In terms of energy, in terms of that fire. And then you sit down and you listen to him talk, and then you can see all of his experience come out, all the different techniques, all the things he had to do in the league, and the people he was around. And so I think Coach Rule, we during the summer break when all this stuff happened, we had gone through and had a list of guys, and we're talking to different guys, and then he brought the name up, and it was like, let's talk with him and all that stuff. And then immediately after talking to him the first time, I was like, Coach, he might be the dude. Advancing the football, keeping the guys on the same path of the NFL development, making sure that they're ready for the next level, and then keeping the standards high. So it was refreshing to be around him so far.
How much of a challenge has it been for you since July 6th to get him ready? I mean, what kind of challenge is that? 25 days.
Yeah, everybody's different. And the one thing that he said, good coaches are good teachers. You know what I mean? So they're able to absorb information, and then they're able to put it in different buckets, and then be able to get their guys to play. And so the first thing you know about John is, when we were talking defense, he was just putting it in buckets. And again, that goes back to the experience. Oh, it's just like this, no problem. It's just like this. It's just like this. So really made us all feel comfortable about the way he's going to teach, and really it just comes down to terminology. This is how we say it here. This is how he was used to saying it. And one of the first things he did was say, hey, instead of having 30 plus guys, 40 plus guys learn his wording and how he used to say things, like, I need to learn the way we do it here. And so again, you got a guy who knows a lot, but he's humble to the point of like, hey, let me see, let me hear, let me do how we do things here. How we can advance the guys here and roll. So it's it's really neat to be around him, his thoughts, but he's always keeping it of how we do things here.
Hey Tony, you guys added Sierra Wright late. Obviously, got a lot of experience.
Mhm.
Where's he at kind of from what you've seen or heard early on, and how do you bring him along?
Yeah, extremely talented. I mean, you watch him just naturally, and you can see why he was one of the top recruits in the country, period. He's very athletic, very fluid in his hips. He's pretty smart as well. So again, it's just, you're trained a certain way at a different institution, and then you come over here and you realize things are vastly different. The standards are just different, and the way we do things on defense are just different than the way he was used to doing things. So that's our responsibility, to make sure that he understands that he's always held to that standard, and that he's put it on the grass. Again, a lot of guys talk about it, but it's hard to not be a man of action when you're around Corey, when you're around Kristen, when you're around, especially now Coach Butler, myself, all the guys in the locker room, GIF. So he's a guy who we're counting on to make sure he knows what to do, how to do it, and then let him go and compete.
The moment is past, but I know it's early, but how have you seen John interact with the guys at all, if at all?
Butler?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, same way. I mean, again, he's had a couple sit downs and with the guys in terms of the DBs, and his knowledge comes across right away, and so the guys know that he knows what he's talking about. So I think right now it's more so they know him football wise. They know the X's and O's. They've seen the resume. Now it's more so building that chemistry with them, just off the grass, doing things like that, being around them so he knows. So things become instinctual. So that's what fall camp is for, right? I mean, I haven't checked into my dorm room yet, but coach is having us check in, and we are around the guys. And the first thing he said was, "Hey, we're sleeping in the dorm, so no sneaking off anywhere, no nothing. We're held to the same standards as a player." So, but that's all for us being around the guys, so that way they know we're all in it as well. So. Nah, bro, not coordinated. I got my own room so far. So there's 2 beds in there, so I don't know if T Knight took the other one, so we'll see. But don't jinx me now like that. Don't jinx me.
You get the upgrade to like the RA suite or something?
Nah, bro. Nah, I got the 2 wooden beds. I'm gonna take a picture. It might be the same room as last year, so I don't know. I haven't checked in yet. So.
You have a roommate last year?
No, I did not. Luckily, but this is a new year and I ain't done nothing, so who knows? Who knows?
Hey, Coach Rule talked about how important it was in the spring for guys like Gifford and Ty, some of your leaders, that not be in playing every down so you build depth and whatever, but not just that, but to have the guys kind of think like coaches.
Yep.
How will that help in that development and then be a more player-led defense?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all perspective, right? More perspective that you have, then you understand why people say things, why people believe things. So it was great to see, because Coach actually, in the spring, when things were happening, he had all those older guys. He had most of them together, and so he would go to them when a situation happened, and he'd be like, "Hey, did you see why we did this? Did you see why the call here? This is why we want to do this." So you see the guys actively coaching the guys. So that kind of thing, again, chemistry in terms of FBI football intelligence on the field, in terms of game situations, all that stuff is invaluable when especially coming from the head man. You know what I mean? Like he pulls all those guys aside and is coaching them, giving them knowledge of the game and all that stuff. Like you can't replicate that any other way. So then being around, being able to help the younger guys, because if you look at all the positions, you got this group that have played and has experience, and then you got a group that, I mean, they just showed up. You know what I mean? So we're gonna need some help from the players. Coaching the other players when our eyes are out there, when they're not in. So, but that's the kind of culture you want, right? Players being coaches themselves. So.
In your collegiate coaching career, have you ever had a defensive line with this much seasoning and experience?
No, I mean, you got a lot of playmakers up there. You got a lot of snaps under their belt. I think it helped last year, especially throwing all those guys in there, seeing what they can do, them running with it. And I mean, guys coming up out of the blue, like Prince Will and Cam, and then Riley Pop coming up, and then James Williams coming out of nowhere, and those guys getting valuable reps and playing ball and stuff. So it's a good problem to have, right? I mean, you always got problems. You got guys who ain't played, or you got too many guys who play, and this is a good problem to have, especially with the way things are set up now, and being able to play those extra games later on. I think taking snaps off the big guys are going to pay dividends later on.
I know we look at every player and want to see him develop, right? But there does seem to be something about Prince Will, his potential as a passer. What does he have to do to take the next step as a player in this year and in subsequent?
Yep, he has to be consistent. He has to show up every day. He has to take care of his body. He's got to put it on the grass. Again, when you talk about flashes, that means that you've seen what he can do. Now, again, year 2, expectations are higher. Standards are raised, so now it's time to be consistently that guy versus saying, hey, here and there you see it, and then all of a sudden, you kind of don't hear it anymore. And he's that type of guy. I mean, he's a next level player. I mean, he's big, he's tall, he's fast, he's explosive, he's twitchy, and so now you got to put the knowledge behind it, and you got to put the attitude behind it, and you got a guy who can go out there and make plays. So.
All right.
Appreciate everybody.